All right. Welcome. This is Alex Harden of Harden Realty Group here in San Antonio. This is going to be our biz dev show, and this is how we're going to start it off with our mortgage professional.
Yeah.
So, our first guest is Art. I'm going to have him introduce himself.
Hi, I'm Art Saldana with NewFed Mortgage Company. Thank you for having me here. I really appreciate it, and I'm hoping that we can cover as much information as we can to let everybody know what's going on in the mortgage and real estate industry.
I'm glad that you had the time to come in and show. So, the first thing, tell us a little bit about your background and how long have you been in the mortgage industry?
Wow, I'm going to date myself, but I've been in the business now. It will be 30 years on April the 1st, April Fool's Day, if I may say. But anyway, I've been in this business for such a long time doing processing. I've done some underwriting. I've been an originator. I've been a manager. I've been a director, you name it. I've been in this industry doing everything that is needed in the mortgage industry. I started a long time ago when my wife was a processor, and actually, she was my first processor. So that's how we started off. But in this business, in the mortgage industry, you encounter all kinds of things, and there's a lot of experience, especially in the last 30 years. So I'm hoping that going forward another 20, maybe 30 years again, we'll see what happens. We'll take it, and it's going to be a new experience all over again.
That's very humbling. I'm only 30 years old, so the fact that you started before I was born is crazy. That's amazing. Okay, so from your perspective, what is the current state of the mortgage market?
Right now, the mortgage market, the way it is, it's got some volatility in it. I mean, it comes and goes. The rates are up, inflation is up, as everybody knows, and it's weird times. It really is because people are in a point where they're very indecisive. Well, I don't want to buy because the rates are too high, and by the time they do get to buying a house, now the price of the house is too high. So. Uh, a lot of volatility right now in the market. So I would suggest if you're going to jump on something, do it now.
See, at the end of the day, we're coming here to tell them what's actually going on and being honest about it. Like you said, there's volatile, but at the same time, I try to tell my clients the same thing that if you're going to get in, try to just get the property because in the future, it's going to either be the bidding wars that we had in 2020 and 2021 where
That's
people are
right.
going to be paying 50,000 over asking. That's not something you want to get in either. You can always refinance the rates.
That's exactly right. Good point.
Okay. So next, what do you think the most common misconceptions are that people have about obtaining a mortgage?
Well, one of the biggest misconceptions is that people seem to think that you need to have a 700 credit score or that you need to put 20% down, invest 20%. That's not the case. I mean, we can go down as low, and this is everybody. And I'm not saying just with NewFed, but across the board, the mortgage industry will allow you to do a 580 credit score on an FHA and as low as 3.5% down. And for those of you veterans out there that are wanting to purchase a home, you will know it's zero down. You don't have to put anything. So that's the biggest misconception is people not knowing exactly how much they're going to have to invest. And they're scared of the fact that I don't have that kind of money. So I think that's the biggest one.
Okay. So now that you say we don't have to have a 700 credit score, how do you go about getting them to just finally get through the paperwork and bringing everything in? How do you calm their nerves about that? You just talk them through it, you stay patient with them. How does
Well,
that process look like?
that's a good question because a lot of times uh, people do get discouraged and they feel like nobody's going to give me a loan. I can't get a loan, whatever. But my whole concept is to make sure I express to them that okay, you can get a loan, maybe not today, but in the future we can get you in. So my point with most of my clients, and this is pretty much a lot of them are good credit score, good money, good income, everything. So it's great. But the ones who don't have that, I put them on a credit plan. Sometimes it takes 3 months, sometimes it takes 6 months. But I tell them if you follow the plan, I'll get you into a home. But you got to follow it. This is what you need to do. And in doing so, there's been many cases where I've had customers come back 3, 6 months later and say, hey, Mr. Art, I've done exactly what you told me. I repull the credit, get all their information. Voila, we've got a loan. We're ready to buy a house.
So you also help those that may not be approved for today, but you also give them a plan on how to get approved in the future.
Correct. Um, you've heard, many of us have heard the fact that there's a lot of credit repair companies. There are, and there's some very good ones. Some I won't say, but um, most of the time, what I try and do is if it's something that I can offer to my customers that is free to me and free to them. Actually, it's not really free. It's maybe like a $5 cost to create a plan for them. I'll do that rather than send them to a credit repair that's going to cost $500 up front and $150 every month. And the chances of them getting it approved is going to be the same thing that I'm doing for no cost. So I try and do that and implement that as much as I can with all of my customers.
That's always good to know because at the end of the day, there are a lot of moving pieces that come to with the real estate transaction. So being able to knock something out and completely with one person is so much easier than going to you and a credit repair and then back to us and then back to lenders and titles and homes, and minimizing that process is always an easier route, and especially because the cost is different.
Yeah, and having to give them somebody else's contact information, having them take time and go out and call people and get interrogated about everything. I know the information already. I know what they need. I know what it's going to take. Might as well just implement it myself.
Okay, we definitely appreciate that. So now, what challenges do you foresee in the mortgage industry in the coming years?
Uh, the challenges right now is, well, actually, what I see coming is the fact that the inventory right now. Builders are not building houses the way they used to. I mean, so many starts are not there. They've got some going. I'm not going to say they don't, but it's not the same as it used to. Could it be because of the workers? Could it be because of the cost of labor, the cost of materials? I don't know. It could be a variable of everything. However, it's kind of slowed down the process of having homes built. And until we get that inventory back up and let the builders start building more, then I think we'll be okay. But until then, I think there's going to be some flaws in the system right now where people are going to be hesitant, um, and it's going to be hard to sell. And all around, not just so much for me in the mortgage industry, because I know there's a lot of programs that are coming up that are helping people, but on the real estate side, because you don't have the inventory there to sell.
That's very true. We're always, even if we can get them to get their household, it's very hard to find them somewhere to go. And they're like, well, where am I going to go?
Exactly.
And that's always something that you have to go with the ebbs and flows of the market. And you have to kind of listen to it time by time. Every season, every couple months, it'll be different. But you have to adjust to what time you're in.
Every single time. You're correct.
Okay. Are there any new opportunities or innovations that excite you that are coming up in the space?
Well, one of the big things that I've noticed is there's always these new down payment assistance programs that are helping buyers, firefighters, policemen, first responders, nurses, all kinds of programs that are out there. And a lot of times, most people are not taking advantage of it. I would say if you can get on that, it'll help you purchase your first home. The thing about it is that I just encountered a new program right now with the city of San Antonio for firefighters and first responders that they're willing to put up to $20,000 of the buyers cover all of their closing costs and down payment. And it's like, wow, when did this happen? I knew they had a program for about maybe $12,000, but now that it's gone up to $20,000, that's incredible. Take advantage of programs like that. That's what's out there in the city, and if you're not familiar with these programs, start looking around. Call the city for that, the San Antonio Housing Authority. Call me. I'll get you the information that you need. But those are the things you got to look out for right now.
Okay. People just need to take advantage of the opportunities out there because they may not be out there forever.
Correct.
Okay. Not bad, not bad. How do you think technology is influencing the mortgage industry?
Oh my God, technology is wonderful. I'm going to tell you, um, I enjoy sitting face to face with my clients and taking a loan application and, kind of bounce things off of each other and see them in their eyes. Hey, are you telling me the truth? Whatever. But now, here, these last, I'm going to say maybe 6, 7 years, pretty much everybody wants to do an online application. No one has time to come into the office anymore unless they really don't know anything about mortgages.
Okay.
And I think the technology that we have now, that we're able to get on social media, that we're able to advertise, I mean, do everything and stay in communication with people in another nation, because I've gotten some people that have been in Africa, as a matter of fact, and the buyer closed the loan here with you guys, so
Right.
it was good. But I've gotten them in Germany and in different places, and I wouldn't have been able to do that had we not had the technology that we have right now. So it's a huge plus.
That is the one thing that, yes, we do meet a lot of our clients through technology, but we have to see them physically a lot of times when it comes to buying their house, especially their first homes.
Yeah,
So we
exactly.
do have that kind of upfront on you with face to face interactions because, like you said, when you get to see them face to face, it's different when you can hear their tone and see their reactions
You
instead of like,
know
if you're just on
exactly.
the phone, you're like, do you actually mean that? Like you say it, but do you feel it?
Yeah,
So
it's
I think,
misinterpreted
yeah,
sometimes.
a lot of
Yes,
times, especially with emails, text messages, things that you're going back and forth on. So it's always good to get them in person and get that experience.
you are right.
Do you see it playing a bigger role in the future, or how do you adapt
Oh, it's not gonna. It won't go back to taking loan applications,
in person?
face to face. It won't go back to that. People don't want to make the time for that. They don't want to be inconvenienced. Let's get in my car. Let's drive. Let's do. No, no, no. You know what? Virtually, you can get on any application anywhere. Talk to me. Talk to Alex. Anybody, and say, okay, I'll walk you through it if you're not familiar with it, or you can just do it yourself because nowadays, who doesn't own a computer and doesn't know how to get onto it? You know,
That's
I
true.
might be a little slow. I'm not going to kid you. Okay, I might not get into all the social media and everything that's going on, but getting on your system and reading a question, answering
Answer.
a question, that's not very hard, right?
No, it's not. And don't get
So
me wrong, I'm still behind on technology, and I was born with it. It came with me, and I'm still learning.
there you
So don't
go.
worry about that. Okay. Now, there's always regulations, compliance that has to go along. How do you stay up to date with the changing regulations in the mortgage industry?
That's a good question because in our industry, you have to keep up to date. I know everybody who is licensed or registered anywhere has to take continuing education. We do too all the time. But for some reason, the mortgage industry happens to change like every 2 weeks. Something changes. It's
I
crazy.
can't
It,
imagine
it
two
really
weeks.
is. And I really appreciate the fact of our upper management, that are staying in the know out there and finding out what's happening, what are the changes with TREC, CFPB, with mortgage brokers, mortgage bankers, how the economy is going, everything. So it's it's crazy. It really is. But they keep us up to date, and we need to make sure that when we get this information that's out there, because everybody has access to it, that we implement those new regulations. I'll tell you this because sometimes, like say for instance, this just happened recently on January the 1st. TDHCA, which is the Down Payment Assistance Program,
Right.
the Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs, has just implemented that if you have a credit score, not a credit score, your debt to income is above 45%. Now you have to have 3 months in reserves when you close on your loan.
Oh,
It's
wow.
like, when did this take place? January the 1st. It's
Oh,
like,
okay.
really? And people don't know that. So you can take a loan application and go through the process and say, okay, where's your 3 months reserves? I was never told that. So if you're not up to date, that's going to harm you in the fact that you have to face your client and let them know, hey, I'm sorry. Well, I thought I was approved. Uh, you were, but you don't have any money.
Okay. So
And it's
you're
not
approved
money
on the
that they're
front
going to
half, it's the
use.
back half.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not money that they're going to use. It's just money that they have to have in reserves. So
Just
it's
in
little
case.
things like that that you have to be up to date with. And that's what our upper management, our directors, are making sure that we know exactly what's going on in the market.
I would say the same thing, but every 2 weeks is crazy. We have legal updates every 2 weeks here in the office. I work here at Keller Williams Heritage, the biggest office for Keller Williams in the U.S. But we have legal updates 1 and 2, and they do a really good job on educating us. If there's a big change that comes in, they make sure that we know. They send it out in the email just to keep us up to date because at the end of the day, we're out there trying to do for our clients. But if something changes, we have to go back and make
Yeah.
sure that we don't miss out on any of our clients to get caught up in the new change.
Now, maybe I exaggerated a little bit too much every 2 weeks. It feels like it's every 2 weeks, but it does change, and we get changes regularly, like sometimes monthly, every 2 months, 3 months, or whatever.
Yeah.
But they change so often, and not just so much because one change, but you have so many different programs in the mortgage industry. Your VA, your guidelines, your FHA, your conventional, USDA, all those guidelines are continuously changing, and you guys know the loan limits are going up.
Whoa, I seen that. I
See
was like,
that?
oh, the USDA loan. I said,
See, so
hmm.
those are things that you have to stay up to date with. What are their debt to income ratios? Did something change? Why did they lower? Did they go up? You've got more room to work with. So it's things like that that you have to be up to date with, so that when you discuss this with your buyer or even with yourself as a realtor, you know exactly what's going on, what to expect, so that if your customer calls you and says, "Hey, well, you know what? How does this work?" "Hey, well, I remember talking to Art. We went over this. This is how it goes." So it's important about that.
No, for sure, because I've gotten caught before. Like at the end of the day, we're all human and we're continuing learning, and that's why we come to classes. We have continued education. We get updates legally and not legally. But I've got caught where one of my clients called me and asked me a question because they had just heard about the law that passed that same day, and they beat me
Oh,
to it. And I was like,
I've been there. I've
and
been
it's
there.
very uncomfortable, but at the same time, like if someone's watching something specifically, we're always doing a lot. We have multiple
Yeah.
clients, we have things that we're looking at. Some things do come to us, and I probably would have found out 2 hours later. They just caught me ahead of time, and I still felt really bad because they were more educated than me. And that's something that I try to work on as far as just continuing to stay up to date with that and continuing to keep all of my people in order just so I can make sure that I'm taking
Exactly.
care of them the best way.
Yeah, there you go. That's exactly right. You probably just hadn't gotten to your computer yet
I
that morning.
Man, beat me to it. I was fresh out of the shower, eating, drinking coffee, like, and they were just like, "Oh, by the way, huh?
Did you
Did
hear?
you hear?" I said, "Hmm." And if it would have been a text message, it would have been easier because I could have
Oh,
just
yeah.
delayed the answer and said, "Oh, I was in a meeting.
Yeah.
They called," and I answered because it
Yeah,
was a
can I call you
client.
right back?
Yeah, I was like, "Oh, I gotta call you right back," and then I like figured it out. But still, in that moment, I felt that kind of not preparedness,
Yeah.
and I don't like that feeling. Like that unpreparedness is one of those things. Like we have to do our job, and we have to stay in front of it, even with all the continual changes and different clients that we have to deal with.
Yeah, I totally agree. And referring to that, it's like I mentioned earlier. The one of the programs with the city of San Antonio. One of our customers came in and says, "Hey, there's this new program that they're offering. Do I qualify for that?" It's like, what? I didn't know that existed. Immediately, I got on the horn and said, "What's going on?" Got sent an email, called, said, "Oh yeah, we got this and this and this. Okay, send me all the particulars. Let me go over it and see what's happening." Within an hour, I was calling the customer back, explaining how it worked, everything, and it's like, oh, okay, thank you, appreciate it. But you're
It's all
right,
it's speed about it's about speed of
man.
recovery. At the end of the
Yes,
day, you're gonna get caught sometimes. Just recover as fast as you can. Say, hey, I'll give you a call back as soon as I figure it out, and makes the calls.
but you have to figure it out. You have to get that information, because if you don't get back to your buyers, they're going to say like, well,
They're gonna
what's
go to
taking
somebody
you so
else.
long? Yeah,
They're just gonna go to somebody else who answers them. It's
that's
all
exactly
about
right.
speed of recovery.
Yep.
Okay. Now we've talked about all the things that go into the process, but what advice do you have to someone that's considering on buying a home as far as applying for their first mortgage? What do they need to have that makes your process easier?
Okay. Um, One of the things that when I talk to customers and I'm pre-qualifying them over the phone, I'll go over all their information, and if they're according to what they're telling me, if it's all correct, I pretty much give them an estimate of what they would qualify for. But right there and then, I tell them, you need to have these documentations together. Um, Sometimes it's at a point where maybe they don't qualify because of credit issues or whatever. However, I let them know in advance, when you come back in, you're ready to apply, your credit's better, you've saved some money, whatever it is. You're going to need this. Make sure, your pay stubs, your W-2s, your bank statements, a copy of your driver's license, things like that, the essential things, because verifying is the main thing in mortgage. And you will know, is you'll see a buyer that's already been pre-approved, but they've got conditions, and the underwriter is going to ask, okay, I need proof of this and proof of that because this and this and this just popped up. And if we're not prepared and we're not preparing the buyer,
Right.
then the buyer is going to get all discouraged and he's going to say, you know what, this is too much. I don't want to do it. And it happens. One of the things I try to explain and express to my buyers is that, look, this process, it's not an overnight thing. And when I submit it and I tell you you've been pre-qualified and pre-approved, it's based on the credit information that I've obtained from you and your debt. And it looks good. But with once we submit everything into the underwriter, they're going to ask, we need an appraisal, we need a survey, we need a title commitment, we need insurance to cover the house, a whole bunch of little stuff. So we're going to need those things. So be prepared. I'm going to be asking you for that. And once they know that, oh, okay. But if you don't prepare them, you don't let them know, they're scrambling. And I tell you what, they will let you know that that is the worst experience they've ever had.
Yeah, I always try to say, stay prepared, stay ready, so you don't have to get ready. Because
Exactly.
especially when it comes to finding like financial papers, it's so easy to lose them. So if you tell them ahead of time, they can find everything and have it ready.
Yeah.
So when the question comes, they can just send it right over.
Yep. And one of the things that they have to, or that they stumble with, is the fact of, I can't find my W-2s. I gave them to my CPA. I gave them to my bookkeeper,
Right.
and I have my tax returns. I said, I don't want to get into that with the tax returns because it can open up a whole new can of worms. Let me see your W-2s. Keep it simple. Let's get you approved. So, hey, go into your ADP system on your work and print it from there. Oh, I can do that? Yes, you can do that. Get in there and get it, and they do that. But that helps tremendously. It really does.
Okay. You made it simple for W-2 employees. I've never been a W-2 employee. I've always been 1099. How much harder is it for us?
On a 1099, you can still get it on your ADP if you have an ADP system for your employer. Because I know you're on commission, right, but Keller Williams might have that, how you get paid, because they have to keep records of that as well.
No, they do. But before that, I was a professional basketball player. So that was from a different country, different places.
Okay.
It was very
The only thing that you can use or that we can use to verify is your tax returns.
Okay. That's what I thought. I always have to use my tax returns.
You have to.
Okay. No problem. I mean, listen, it's very different for everybody. Each job gives you a different thing that you need to be prepared for, so don't worry about it. That's why you call ahead of time, talk to your mortgage lender. They'll be able to tell you everything that you need.
Exactly.
Okay. Now, what are the common mistakes you've seen people make when seeking a mortgage?
Oh my God.
Buying a car, furniture before they move.
That's one of the main things right there, is that they're approved. We're just gathering all the simple little docs that we need just to put it together, to put it into closing. And you guys, you got to watch out, because a mortgage company will, most of the time, I'm going to say probably 90-95% of the time, they're going to inspect your credit report again.
the day before.
Yeah, the day before, at least 3 days before. And they're going to check and see what's going on. And when they come up with a new car payment of $750, it's like, what happened here? And that has happened many times. And I tell you this because I have had to tell a customer, you need to choose. You want your new truck or you want a house? And the wife always says, we want a house. The husband says, well, it's a nice truck.
A very nice truck.
Oh.
Can you live in it?
I believe.
Can you live in it? That's the question.
That's the thing. It's like, okay, you've got a family. What are you going to do with that truck? You have a house. You can keep a roof over your family, But that's the thing. You're absolutely right. They go off and buy stuff for no reason at all. But I'll tell you, one of the things that I do is that when I send out an application or pre-approval, okay, guys, here's the list of things that you are not to do while we are processing your loan.
We like that. Not to do.
Yeah.
Just avoid these.
Exactly.
The dirty dozen.
Yep.
Do not do this. Do not do that. Because at the end of the day, there are a lot of things you still can do. We're not telling you can't spend money. That's not the case. But there are certain things that just make a huge impact to your debt to income. And we want you to stay approved, and we want you to be able to get into that house first.
Yeah. So just wait until you close.
Then you can get your car.
The next day, go buy all your appliances. But not the day before.
Not the day before. It's like, oh, I want it before I get it. Don't worry about it. You're not moving in the day you close.
Exactly.
You won't be living in there.
Yeah.
So just go ahead and wait. get all the way through the closing, and as soon as you leave the closing table, go straight over there.
Now you can do it exactly. Once it funds, once it
Once it
funds,
funds,
yeah,
once
that's the
it
thing
funds.
right
Let me
there.
not say that. Once it funds.
Yep.
Okay. How do you continue to develop your skills? Because at the end of the day, our jobs are really based on how skillful we are. That's how we get paid. That's how I explain it.
Yeah. You always have to stay on top of your guidelines. The program guidelines, like I said, they change regularly, and you need to make sure that you're on top of that. Because when somebody asks you something and you're not familiar with it, and they are, because sometimes it can just be a test. I want to see how much you know, and you can't answer. It's like, I don't want to work with this guy. You know, I'm surprised how much more um, real estate agents know about mortgages. I mean, you guys have everything at the tip of your fingers. You know almost as much as I do. You may not know all the guidelines,
All right.
but you guys are up to date with everything.
We have to be though, because if we
Exactly.
don't, our clients ask us questions, and we can't always get a hold of you guys. So there's sometimes we've had to look it up ourselves,
Yeah.
get
So
on the internet, call, and once we get an answer, we kind of keep it in like a little repertoire of mortgage questions and answers.
yeah, exactly. So that's a good thing. But one of the other things um, that I look at in the fact that, like you guys, keeping up to date with everything that I need to know as well, is that we need to invent new ways to get new customers. There's new ways to sell a house, new ways to do mortgages. All these new things. If you can find all these new things that nobody else is doing, that sets you apart.
Right.
It's always going to set you apart. And when you can explain and express that to your customers, they'll realize that, wow, I hadn't heard that. This girl's pretty good.
I promise you, that's the main reason why I'm getting my name out on social, just so people know me and trying to figure out where I am, how they can get a hold of me. So I'm testing out all the different ways and even trying some ones that most people aren't on just to see. And then I'll be able to like kind of tally and move my marketing and advertising a certain way just so that I can be in front of the people who need to hear me.
And that's exactly right. You have to be in front of them all the time. The expression "out of sight, out of mind." Believe me, if you're not in front of them all the time, and I'm at fault with that because I personally, I'm not a big social media and guy, and my wife gets after me all the time. And if you're watching this, Ray, that we're trying. Okay, we're trying.
Trying really hard. This is the start
But
for everything.
nonetheless,
2024 is our year. We're going to be on
here's where
socials. You guys will find us.
we're gonna bounce back here this year.
Good.
But that's one of my main things, and I'm sure I'm not the only one because I talk to people sometimes like, man, I can't do that. I can't do all these videos. I can't post every day, and so on and so forth. So that's my biggest downfall is that I'm not out in front of the media. But um, attending functions is a big thing. Get
Yeah.
out there if you're not doing postings, then attend the functions. Get out there and be seen. You're still in the industry. You're still doing loans. You're still selling houses.
Yeah.
Get out there and do that because that's an important factor in our business.
Definitely. I'm definitely getting myself out of my comfort zone because I'd rather be at home and be by myself. But in order to not be broke for 2024, I definitely have to go out there and I have to meet new people and just show them what I can do. At the end of the day, our job is there's other mortgage lenders, there's other realtors. You can work with anybody. It's really up to you. But our job is to give ourselves the chance.
Yep, that's right. That is right.
Okay. We're coming to the end. Your future outlook. Where do you think the mortgage industry goes in the next 5 to 10 years?
Man, I don't know, especially with all this AI stuff coming in. I don't know. I hope that, it doesn't take away my job
Right.
since that's out there. I think of it as like, well, they're doing everything that I would be doing. It's answering the questions that I would be answering. So how do I keep my job?
Right.
It's kind
That's
of
a that's a
scary,
that's a legitimate
right?
thing.
It's kind of scary thinking about it that way. But um, if we can become efficient enough to make sure we have that face to face contact with our customers and being right there in the middle of everything, I think that'll keep us in our jobs. But the new technology, the way the mortgage is going, a lot of it is automated,
Right.
and it's It's a different world. It really is. I love it, but then it's scary. It
Yeah.
really is.
I think the same thing. I think, like you said, we have to be recognizable to the point where they're like, even if they haven't heard from you in a while, maybe like, let's call Alex, let's
Yeah.
call Art
Let's see
and
what's
see
going
what's
on.
going on and see if they're still in the industry. Because at the end of the day, our relationships is what makes our business.
That's right.
So you just have to keep them remembering your name.
That is exactly right. And one of the things that we try and do, and I know myself, my manager tells me the same thing, that before you start any conversation with any of your buyers, get to know them, build that relationship. Don't start quoting, don't start asking questions about what do you do, how much do you earn, how's your credit, blah blah blah. Get to know them. Tell me a little about yourself. And it plays a very important part, in purchasing a house and in building that relationship with your buyers, because if you have that relationship with them, they're more susceptible to send you a referral than if you don't have that relationship.
And that's something that I am working on because I'm quick to just get into the questions, but at the same time, I'm like, I'm working with a complete stranger.
Yeah,
Like
that's
truly, it's
true.
a stranger, and that's not good on my part, and that's something that I'm working on. But at the same time, it's very. And some people are matter of fact. Some people like to just go straight in, but I think I need to fill it out and still try to figure out what they like to do. It helps me just be able to relate things to them, talk about other things, not just straight business. Because if they see a text message from me, they're like, "Oh God, what
Yeah.
now? What have I not done?"
You
So
know,
sometimes you get that kind of calmness to them, so they're not just
yes.
like on edge, like, "Oh, he's going to tell me I'm not approved," or
Yeah.
"She's going to tell me someone else bought the house," and they're just really clenched every time they see your name come across their screen instead of it being a balance.
Right. And what I was going to say, and I'm sorry, I try to interrupt there, and
No,
I
you're fine.
apologize,
Don't worry about it.
but the that's one of the things that I really enjoyed about taking a loan application face to face, is because when you talk to them up front to get a relationship or build a relationship, you get to see their body language. Okay, um, I don't want to talk about that,
Yeah.
or why are you asking me that? Or they're going to say, yeah, they jump in, they move into
Yeah.
the conversation. And that's where you can build that relationship. On the phone, you don't know if, like, they're trying to tell you, you know what, dude, I don't want to talk about that. It's like, what do you need from me? And that's the reason why I really enjoyed the face-to-face loan apps.
Okay. I mean, nothing's wrong with that. Here's a question. Any recommendations on resources or tips for people who are aspiring to be successful mortgage lenders? Like you've been in the business 30 years. How did you stay in the business for 30 years?
Oh man, it wasn't easy, Alex. It wasn't easy. I'm telling you, I've seen a lot of ups and downs. I'll tell you this: there's very, very few lenders out there that were around when I started. Very, very few. Um, I can probably count them on both hands. But you don't give up. That's the main thing. Some loan officers or even some realtors get into the industry at the point where everybody's making money. Rates come down, you can refinance in the mortgage business. Everybody. Rates come down and the inventory is high, you can sell houses all day long, multiple offers.
Right.
So that's great and that's wonderful. But there comes a time when rates are not down, prices are higher, there's no inventory. So what do you do? That's when it's hard.
Right.
So you gotta discover yourself all over again. What do I need to do? I got to reinvent the wheel, and that's what it's all about. And again, going back to the social media, that's where the majority of it is at. But I went to a seminar yesterday. It was a training with one of the real estate brokers here in town, and he mentioned the fact on how he used to get all this business, and he's kind of passed on that torch to somebody else.
Right.
Um, Door knocking, open houses, marketing to your neighborhood. You know, it's
You
like,
got to get out there. There's
right?
so many
It's
different ways. And listen, this is like, for me, that's exactly what's going on right now. It's very slow, but at the same time, I'm just inch by inch.
There you
Chop
go.
wood, carry water. Take the little steps day by day and doing the right things and just waiting for the to fall and waiting for everything to start moving smoothly. But I'm excited because I believe that 2024 is definitely going to be more offers than it was towards the end of 2023, and just kind of getting people into the homes, and especially with the clients that I'm dealing with now, is I think they're all getting ready to be comfortable with buying.
Yeah.
So for me, it's just being able to maintain while I'm not super busy as far as with clients and making deals and making offers, just doing the little thing, getting my name out there, going to see new people, just so that when it comes, I'm ready and I can ride that wave and enjoy the
That's
fruits of my labor.
that's exactly right. That is so right. It's not easy. Like I tell you, it's not easy.
Don't
But
I
you know
know,
what? You can always overcome. Always,
right?
no matter what, you can overcome. If I've been in this business this long, you'll be in it for another 30 years.
Ooh wee.
Hey, but you know what? Most of the real estate agents that I meet and I see how they are, how they've been doing for the last, whatever months, years or so, they've been very successful. You're doing something that most of them don't. And so putting things like this together, and it's got to be repetitious, consistency, right?
Yeah, I'm
That's
trying for
that's the
one
key.
one
Yeah,
every month, and I'm gonna go through the process of
there
what
you
it's
go.
like to be a buyer. So mortgages first.
There you
Then
go.
I'm gonna go on being a realtor. So I'm gonna interview one of my other coworkers
There
and
you
just
go.
continue go through the process so they understand how the steps look, and just so they can start being comfortable in the process. And as you see, we haven't moved, so the lights have cut off. But at the same time, we're gonna continue with this interview because we're almost done. So for someone who is getting their first mortgage and going through this process, how do you give them that sense of calm to call you and feel comfortable even if they're not ready yet?
That's a good question because some of them are not ready, um, but they don't know they're not ready. They just assume my friend, my mom, my dad, somebody told me I need to go buy a house, so here I am. My place as a mortgage lender is to express to them, look, it's not an easy process, but it's not a hard process either.
Right.
You may not be ready now. I'm not going to turn you down because 3 months or 6 months, like we talked about earlier,
That plan.
we can get you back in here. But since you don't know exactly what to do or what it's going to take, I'm going to tell you what you got to do.
Right.
And if you can do that, then put your mind at ease. We'll get you into a house. If it's going to take March or April to get you in, think about it.
March and April
Springtime.
are coming regardless. At the end of the
Exactly.
day, the time's gonna pass. So I think the best thing we can explain to you guys is just ask a professional and we'll put you on that right path to get you where you need to be.
That's exactly right.
Okay. Final
Exactly right.
statements. You just anything you want people to know. You have any other little pointers, cues, tips for someone?
Well, I would tell you guys right now, I know for y'all who are on the fence waiting, the rates, are they going to come down? Are the prices going to come down? Um, Guys, the rates may not come down right now, but the prices are going to go up. I, I don't see prices come down. I never see prices come down.
Right.
They always keep climbing all the time, especially because, our city, county, state, government, whatever, they want those taxes. The more value you have on that house, the more taxes they get.
Right.
So, do you think they want to lower that? No, they don't want to do that. However, on the market, the treasury bills and what have you not, those seem to fluctuate up and down. Jump in right now, get yourself a house. If you qualify right now, you're approved, get a house. Because if you wait later and the prices go up, you may not qualify for that house anymore. At the same time, when you purchase that house now, when the rates come down later, you can refinance it and lock it in. You're good. But if you wait around, you're sitting on that fence hoping something's going to happen, a miracle or something, it may not happen, at least not now. And you're going to lose out on the opportunity to buy the house that you want.
And like I said, for a lot of people who are on that fence, this is your first home, not your last home you'll ever buy. So just take the property. As he said, the prices are going to keep going up. So at the end of the day, buy now, and then you'll be able to sell it for more later once you've adjusted, you've had more kids, you've got married, you've got divorced. Sadly, things happen. But make sure that you get in the property because it allows you to make decisions for your future.
Build that equity. That's what it's about.
Well,
right?
Art, thank you so much. We
Hey,
really
thank you.
appreciate you coming on as our first guest for the Biz Dev Show. We appreciate you guys and look forward to us next month. Thank you.